Now, being here in Jerusalem, Israelis are flummoxed by suggestion that there should be a ceasefire when terrorists fire rockets every day, and there are still, as we've just been hearing, 101 hostages in Gaza. I discussed this earlier with the spokesman for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Israel, Oren Marmorstein. Have a look.
Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. I've just met with the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, and he made the point that this war isn't just about fighting for Israel's survival, but for the Middle East and Western civilization. Do you think the international community has failed to grasp just the significance of this?
I think the Prime Minister is absolutely right. And I think perhaps answering your question about the international community response, I think it's important with all the news pouring in to remind us all, why are we at this point in time? We never wanted this war. This war was forced upon us. On October 7th, completely unprovoked, Hamas launched the biggest massacre of Jews since the Holocaust. Nearly 1,200 people were slaughtered, women were raped, families were burned alive. So perhaps international community, Western audience have forgotten. We don't have the luxury to forget.
So many people have been affected here.
Exactly.
Almost everyone knows someone who was taken hostage or murdered or even now injured or killed in battle.
The stories are everywhere, but it's not only the stories that happened on October 7th. It's making sure that those stories won't repeat themselves. We're fighting with one cause, to make sure that October 7th massacre won't happen again, and to bring our hostages back home.
There are reports that the hostages are being used by Yahya Sinwar as a form of protection, human shields. What is the plan to get the hostages to bring them home a year on from October 7?
So there are three objectives to this war. The first one is to remove the threat, like I said, to make sure that Hamas has no military and governmental capabilities to repeat this massacre. The second objective is to make sure those hostages are back home. And the third objective is to make sure that the civilians, the people living in the northern part of Israel, can go back to their home. And the plan is to put as much as pressure on Hamas to make sure that there is no ceasefire without the release of hostages.
Well, turning to Hezbollah, we have seen incredible success by Israel in dismantling the Hezbollah leadership. Can you do the same in Gaza with Sinwar?
You know, you mentioned Hezbollah, and again, this is important, because sometimes people are asking, why now Lebanon? Why now Hezbollah? Again, it's important to remember why we are here at this point in time. On October 8th, just a day after the massacre, again, completely unprovoked, Hezbollah attacked Israel with thousands of rockets. Dozens of Israelis were killed, were murdered by Hezbollah, including 12 children who were murdered while they were playing soccer. And 60,000 Israelis were forced to be evacuated from their homes. So we're doing what every country would do for its people. We're trying to protect the civilians. We're trying to protect the families.
In your role, you'd come across a lot of international journalists and media outlets. Do you have a comment on the extent of the anti-Israel bias that we see in the mainstream press narrative?
I think sometimes when it comes to the media, there is a tendency to have a very short memory. Just to look at what's happening right now and not to look at the big picture. And the big picture for us Israelis, is the day-to-day picture is that we are being attacked. And we're trying to protect our families. Let me be personal for a second. Like I said, I have two daughters. One in the age of 11 and the other is in the age of 8. Last week, they were rushed into shelter because Iran, which of course is masterminding this attack of Hamas, of Hezbollah, and directly attacking Israel, launched more than 180 ballistic missiles on Israel. Think of Canberra being attacked with more than 180 missiles.
It's incomprehensible, truly.
So, you know, at the end of the day, there are people in this story. And this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to live peaceful life. We didn't want this war. But now that it is forced on us, we are forced to win it because we don't have any other choice. And this is, by the way, the reason why we'll win, because there is no other choice for the people in Israel. If we lose, we'll die.
Yeah, no room for failure. I really appreciate your time. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.